Hey everyone, welcome to the 5th episode of the Wio Terminal Classroom. So in this episode, I will teach you how to draw line charts and histograms on the Wio Terminal LCD screen. Also, at the end of this video, I will teach you how to use TFT LCD API Examples on the Wio Terminal. So without further ado, let's jump straight into the video. I will start this video by explaining you how to draw line charts on the Wio Terminal LCD screen. So I will give a link to this URL in the video description down below so that you can have a look at this wiki page. So when you normally use sensors to obtain data, it's easier if you could visualize those data on a chart like this. So using the line chart library that we include here, you can easily display the sensor values obtained from the sensors on the Wio Terminal LCD screen. So before you write any code to draw line charts on the Wio Terminal, first you need to download the line chart library. So let's go ahead and install this library first. So you need to download it as a zip file and then open Arduino. After that, go to Sketch, Include Library and Add Zip Library, and point to the location where you just downloaded your zip file. So this is the line chart zip file that we downloaded. So we will open it and it will say the library is added to your libraries, which means you have successfully added the line chart library into the Arduino IDE. So now that we have installed the line chart library, let's go ahead and start writing our codes to draw a line chart on the Wio Terminal LCD screen. So let's start including the line chart library. So hashtag include seed line chart .h, and actually before when we wrote codes for the TFT LCD screen, we included the TFT espi.h library, but here you don't need to include that library because that library is already included inside this library. So after that, let's initialize the TFT espi library. So espi TFT. Then you need to define the maximum number of variables to be stored. So define max size, and here we will define it as 50, and you need to initialize a data type to store the data. So we can initialize it as doubles data. Then we will create a buffer by using the TFT sprite function. So when you use a buffer, the line chart will not be drawn on the LCD directly, but it will go to a buffer first and the buffer will push it to the LCD screen. So in this way, the screen will be much faster. So let's go ahead and create this buffer. So TFT e sprite spr TFT e sprite and TFT. Then we will start writing our codes in the setup. So let's first set up the LCD screen tft.begin, and next we will set the rotation tft.set rotation and set it as 3, and finally we will create the buffer by typing spr.create sprite TFT height TFT width. So this height and width is the resolution of the Wio terminal. So these two are already defined inside the library as 320 for the height and 240 for the width. So that's it for the initialization code for the setup. So now let's move on to writing our codes for the loop. So this code will keep on running, the code which we write inside this loop. So let's start. So first let's fill the screen in white color. So we are using here spr.fill sprite because we are writing on the buffer. So we need to use this spr.fill sprite, and then TFT Y, and you need to make sure that the data size doesn't exceed the maximum data size that we have defined before. So let's go ahead and type if data dot size is equal to max size. So if this is equal to maximum size that we have defined before, which is 50, so what it will do is it will remove the first variable from the data. After that, we will use data.push to store the variables in data. So we are using this, and for now we will use the random function to generate random numbers. So random 1 10. So what this will do is this will generate random numbers from 1 to 9, not 10, because 10 is the upper limit and 1 is the lower limit, and the range is always from lower limit to upper limit minus 1. So 1 to 9. So after that, the numbers which are generated here are stored in data. Now let's go ahead and set a title for our line chart. So let's comment first displaying line chart title. So let's set it auto header text 0 0. So auto will assign a data type for header automatically, and then this will be the starting coordinates of the title. So 0 0 means 0x 0y. So if you look at here the Wio Terminal LCD screen, so the 0 0 location will be here. So I have explained to you before in my previous video about the coordinate system for the Wio Terminal. So after that, let's set the title of the text. So I would write it as header.value. So actually here in this code, here we have used in a different approach. It's different from mine. So here what happens is you write this code first and then you list out the others like this. But here I will write it as header.value instead of writing .value. So header.value, and I want the title to be test chart. After that, I want to align the text. So header.align, I want to align it. So this is the horizontal align. So to check the different alignment methods, so let's go to this library, the line chart library that we have installed, and then if you open this graphics define, seed graphics define using VS Code. So I open this using VS Code, and you can see that the align type, there are 3 types: left, center and right for the horizontal align. So let's go back to this and let's set it as center, and after that let's set the vertical alignment of the title text. So for the this should be V align. So for the vertical alignment, if you look at this graphics define.h, so V align type, so top, V center or bottom, there are 3 options. So I would like to choose center, so it's V center, and then I will set the title width, so header dot width, and then here I will set it as the entire width of the LCD screen. So if you write TFT dot width, that means you define the entire width. So if you look at this, TFT dot width means from here to here. So that is defined by the library. So you just have to write it like this, TFT dot width, and then I will set the thickness of the font of the title. So header dot thickness, and I would like the thickness to be 3. Now I will set the height of this header. So to set the height of the header, we will write header dot height, and then here header dot font height means this height. So the header dot font is the height of the text, header dot font height. So I want this header height to be twice of the header font height. So header dot font height multiplied by 2, and finally header dot draw to draw this on the LCD. So now let's go ahead and display the line chart on the Wio terminal. So let's go ahead and write our codes. So I will comment it, display line chart. So let's write auto content, so this time it's content, and line chart 20 header dot height. So this is the starting coordinate of the line chart. So the line chart, and here I have defined as x as 20, so x as 20, and y as header height. So this is the header height. Actually we have defined it before. This header height is this one. So the location is x 20 and y header height. So the reason we have left space here and here is that we need to include text or digits which describe the line chart. So for example, there could be numbers here and there could be text here. So let's continue to configure the line chart. So content dot height. So this is the line chart height, which is from here to here. So I want to have some space here and some space here. So the space here will be header height, and the space here will be half of header height. So the content height, which is the line chart height, will be TFT dot height, which is this complete height from here to here, TFT height, minus this and this. So 1 and 0.5 is 1.5. So header height times 1.5. So now let's set the width for the line chart, this width. So content dot width, and what we will do is we will take this width first, TFT dot width, and subtract this and this. TFT dot width minus, so this is actually 20, so we have specified before 20, and this 20 actually is content.x inside this library. So it's defined as content.x, this part. So we can write it as content.x times 2, because there are two parts like this, the same length. So after that, type content dot based on, so I will set it as 0.0. So this is actually the starting point of the y-axis, which is 0.0. So you need to specify like that. After that, type content dot show circle, content dot show circle, and this is actually drawing a small circle for each data point. So if you don't specify anything, it will be turned on by default. So here I would like to turn it off, and I will set it as false. After that, I will type content dot value, and here I will write it as data. So what this will do is, this will pass the data into the line chart. So here we have specified data as random numbers from 1 to 9. So this will pass these random numbers and display as a line chart on the Wio terminal LCD screen. Now set a color for the line chart. So content dot color, and I would like the color to be red, so TFT red. And then just like for header, you need to draw the line chart by writing it as content.draw, and finally we need to push this from the buffer to the LCD screen by writing str.push sprite 00. And then let's add a delay of 50 milliseconds. So now let's upload this code to the board and see the result on the screen. So if your result is also like this, that means you have successfully run this code on the Wio terminal. So now let's go ahead and display histograms on the Wio terminal LCD screen. So I will give a link to this URL in the video description so that you can have a look at this wiki page. So when you use sensors to obtain data, you can use histograms to easily visualize those data on a screen. So Wio terminal has this function. By using the histogram library, you can display histogram like this. So before we write any codes, let's go ahead and install the histogram library first. So go to this link first and download it as a zip file. After that, open Arduino and go to Sketch, Include Library, Add .zip library, and from there locate to the point where you downloaded the library. So this is the library, histogram library, and open it. So it says library added to your libraries, which means you have successfully installed the histogram library. Now let's start writing our codes to draw the histogram on the Wio terminal. So to start writing the codes, let's first include the histogram library, which is histogram.h, the one we just installed before, histogram.h. And actually we don't need to include these libraries, the espi.h, the LCD library, because if you go to the histogram library, so histogram, the h.h file, you can see that the TFT espi.h library is already included inside the .h file. So it's called here, so it's used from here, so you don't have to specifically call TFT espi.h in your code. Let's initialize the histogram now. So to initialize the histogram, TFT histogram equals TFT histogram. After that, let's initialize the LCD library, the TFT LCD library, TFT. Then let's start writing our codes inside the setup. So let's begin by writing tft.begin to initialize the LCD screen, and write histogram.init histogram and TFT. So this is to initialize the histogram. Then let's start drawing the columns for the histogram. So histogram.form histogram. So this will draw histogram columns, and the usage is, first you need to specify the column name. So I will specify as A, and next you need to give a tag, just the number 1. So this number 1 will not be shown on the LCD, but this is just for reference. So 1, and then the histogram column value, which is the column height, I want it to be 60, and then the column width I will specify as 30, and then the column color, which is blue, I will specify as blue, and I will continue to add more columns to this histogram. After you configure the columns for the histograms, now you need to show the histograms by typing histogram.showHistogram. And now let's upload this code to the board and see the result on the screen. So now you'll be able to see this result on the screen. So the histogram library allows you to add different functions such as changing the column values, deleting a column, adding a line chart and hiding the axis. So I will now demonstrate to you how these functions are used in our histogram. So first let's add a delay here. So I would like to have a delay of 3000 milliseconds, which is 3 seconds. So after 3 seconds I would like to change the parameter for one column. So histogram dot change param, and I will specify as the fifth column. So the tag is number 5, and the column name I want to change it as uppercase E, and then the column value 130 I want to change it to 55, and the color I want to change it to red. Then I want to delete a column. So to delete a column, type histogram dot delete cylinder and specify the tag number. So I want to delete the fourth column, so number 4, tag number is 4, and I want to have a line chart drawn over the data of the histogram. So histogram dot line chart, and I want the chart color to be black. After that I will specify another delay for 3 seconds, and I want to hide the axis of the histogram. So to hide the axis of the histogram, I will type histogram dot not show axis, and now let's upload this code to the board and see the result on the screen. So now the histogram is drawn, and after 3 seconds you can see the change. Yeah, it's changed according to our code, and now the axis is gone. So if you want to add more functions to your histogram, you can visit the histogram library, so the histogram.h library, and then from there you can see the different functions it offers. So for every function there's a comment. So in the comment you can see the description of the function. Here it says show text, so show text will display text, and draw arrow will draw arrows of x and y axis. So in this way you can use these functions in your histogram. Also, if you want to access more demos for the histogram, you can visit File, Examples, and go down to Seed Arduino Histogram, and there are 5 examples for you to try out. So with the TFT LCD library, we have provided many examples for you to try out. So these kind of examples like pie chart, arc fill, arc spiral, and the clock examples, and many more examples. So they all can be found if you go to Arduino, File, Examples, go to Arduino, Seed Arduino LCD and 320 by 240, and all these examples can be displayed on the Wio Terminal LCD screen, and you can use these examples as a reference if you want to build your own project based on these examples. So for now I will open this example, TFT pie chart, and then upload this code to the board. So now you can see a pie chart on the LCD screen. So in this way you can use the other examples that we have provided to display on the LCD screen of the Wio Terminal, and these examples can be used for reference in your own projects. So that's it for this video. If you guys like this video, please give a thumbs up and subscribe to our YouTube channel to stay updated with us. So see you guys in the next video.